Most riders know that to jump high, you want to take off when that kite is at 12 o'clock. That part is nothing new. But there's a small detail on how the kite is positioned at 12 that almost nobody talks about. And once you understand it, it will completely change the height, control and consistency of your jumps. Let me show you two examples. The wind strength and approach speed are almost identical. But there's a subtle difference in the kite steering. Before I explain anything, take a look and decide for yourself. Which jump do you think goes higher? The one on the left or the one on the right? As you can see from the Surfr data, the rider on the left clearly goes higher and stays longer in the air. And this is exactly what we're going to break down in this video. Not just what's happening in these clips, but how you can recognize the same mistake in your own jumps and fix it. The goal is simple: more height, more hang time, more control, and definitely better consistency. We are going to use the jump on the left as our reference. Is it absolutely perfect? No. But it's easily within the top 95% of what I was capable of in those exact conditions. So it's a very realistic example to learn from. Now pay close attention to the moment that the board leaves the water. Yes, the kite is at 12 o'clock, but what really matters here is where the kite is pointing at takeoff. Let's switch to the POV angle. Here you can clearly see the center strut of the kite. And the kite will always fly in the direction that this center strut is pointing. For a powerful jump, you want that center strut to point into the wind at the moment of your takeoff. When you do that, the kite generates maximum lift and keeps producing lift for a longer period of time, which is what gives you the clean, powerful elevation. If you're still not convinced, have a look at this jump from Giel Vlucht that I filmed in South Africa. You can clearly see that during the lifting part of the jump, the kite stays pointed into the wind. That's what creates that elevator-like lift straight up. Of course, the pros do a lot of other adjustments extremely well. But if we go any deeper into that right now, we're getting close to rocket science. So we'll save that for another video. Now here's something that confuses a lot of riders. In this reference jump, I take off with the kite at 12 and the center strut is pointing into the wind. But right after the takeoff, the kite appears to move towards 1 o'clock. So did I steer it further? No. What's actually happening is that I'm moving sideways underneath my kite because of the riding speed. The kite itself stays almost in the same position. This means you don't need to steer the kite past 12 at all. You steer the kite so it points into the wind and your speed does the rest. Let's have a closer look at the timing involved for the correct kite positioning on takeoff. Ride in on a crosswind course at medium to high speed with the kite at 45 degrees. Gently steer the kite up along the edge of the wind window by pulling on the back hand. After your kite passed 11, you can start to carve towards the wind, making sure to keep a bit of tension on your back lines. Stop steering when the kite points into the wind and pull the bar straight down as you want to pop off the water. From here, you want to keep the center strut pointing towards the wind as the kite drifts towards 1. The faster you ride into the trick, the more the kite will move towards 1 and you might have to counter steer a bit. From here, we prepare for the landing. You can see that I actively keep the kite on the right side of 12 with small steering movements. It's important to keep the bar all the way down to prevent the kite from flying behind you, especially on bigger jumps. If you're curious to see different landing styles, you can watch my video about landing high jumps through the link above. Now that you know what a solid takeoff should look like, we can start looking at some of the most common mistakes. These are patterns I see again and again with riders I coach during advanced sessions and kite camps. If you want real-time feedback on your own riding and jump technique, you can check out the kite camps and coaching options on my website via the link above. There. The most common mistake I see is oversteering the kite. This happens when you steer too hard or for too long, causing the kite to reach 12 while pointing off to the side instead of into the wind. The kite then shoots past 12 with a lot of speed, giving you a sharp pull of the water, followed by a quick loss of power. This often pulls you out of balance and makes it harder to stick the landing. To fix this, steer the kite slower and for a shorter period of time, and make sure the bar is straight when you pull it down for takeoff. This mistake usually happens when riders try to jump higher by steering harder. While it might work occasionally, it's not a reliable way to gain height. The harder you steer, the more the kite flies forward in the wind window, pulling you forward and downwind instead of up. The result is less hang time and less height. So when somebody tells you to just send it harder, you know exactly what not to do.
Send it.
The second common mistake is bad timing. Jumping too late. In this example, the kite passes 12 and the rider only jumps a moment later. By the time that the board leaves the water, the kite has already lost most of its power, resulting in a weak and inefficient jump. If your kite feels powered going into the jump, but dead at takeoff, this is often the reason and easily fixed by jumping a little bit earlier. The third mistake is less common, but still worth mentioning. Jumping too early without steering the kite enough gives you a very floaty jump with a lot of forward speed, but not much height. If this often happens to you and you're not sure how to fix it, just stop jumping. Slowly bring your kite up as you would for a jump and look up to make sure it reaches 12. Without actually pulling the bar down to leave the water. After doing this a couple of times, you can start to jump again with that exact same timing and kite steering. So what if your kite steering is already good? How do you jump higher if you're not supposed to steer the kite harder? For me, there are 3 key ingredients: kite steering, carving towards the wind, and riding speed. You need all of these 3 working together. If you want more height, you increase your riding speed so you can start carving harder into the wind, which creates more lift in the kite. But that kite steering itself doesn't change at all. The tricky part is as you ride faster, carving becomes more difficult. Once your carve starts slipping, your jump height actually drops again. That's why it's important to build speed gradually and pay attention to your edge. The moment you can no longer carve cleanly into the wind, you found your limit for those conditions. Dial it back a tiny bit, and that's where you'll get the best possible jump height. Conditions play a massive role in how high you can jump. A big kite in light wind won't jump nearly as high as a small kite in strong winds. On top of that, the water state, air temperature, humidity, they all influence the final result. That's also why jumps often don't feel the same from session to session. And it can be surprisingly hard to tell if one jump was actually higher than the one before. If you're trying to progress your jumping and really want to know whether changes in your technique are making a difference, it can be useful to ride with something like the Surfr app. It measures your jump height and hang time, so you have real-time data to work with and can clearly see what works and what doesn't. And as a bonus, it's also just a very fun way to compare sessions and have a bit of competition with your mates. You'll find all the details via the links below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers!